Tony Lanzafame, Modern Work Specialist of State and Local Government for Microsoft. Today we're going to talk about Teams proof of concept for voice. We've got Alan Nichols, our technical specialist, and we have a couple guests from Yealink that are going to talk about some of their devices that they can provide in the event of a proof of concept. So with that being said, I'll hand it over to Alan.
Hey everybody, this is Alan Nichols, Teams technical specialist focusing around voiceover at Microsoft. As you can see, I'm playing with a little bit more of our new tools that we have out here. I'm sharing my screen and posting my mug in front of everybody, as everybody absolutely loves to see who's presenting to them. So I just plan to put this up here because I like to present that calling is made really simple through Microsoft Teams. And what I'm going to do here in the next like 15, 20 minutes is I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up a proof of concept, how you can just assign your licenses and go and show everybody how Teams calling works. So I guess without wasting any more time, I'm going to pop here into the Teams admin portal. And what I like to do first, you just pop into your admin portal. After you get your demo licenses from Tony or I or whoever's going to be your technical specialist or SSP in the area, what you're going to be able to do is add these to your users. So I'm going to pick on Adele Vance here and Deborah Berger. So let's assign Deborah her licenses first. So right here under the Teams or Microsoft 365 Admin Center, we're going to be able to just pop in here, go to your licenses and apps, and all my users in this tenant have E5 already. And if we pop here into the apps, you can see that in E5, we already have the Microsoft 365 phone system included in here, along with many, many other things that it always gets lost. There it is. So if you're using like a G1 or a G3 or an F3, you're going to be able to license this separately. And we can also give out sample licenses for this too for your proof of concepts. So all you'll do is if you have E5, leave that check. If you have E1, E3, you're going to check the box up here and add it. You're also going to want to enable a domestic calling plan for the user. And the domestic calling plan is basically going to be your minutes. So it's going to give you the ability to assign a phone number directly to a user. And it's going to give you a pool of minutes for those users who are on those calling plans. So I'm going to add that calling plan to Deborah. Pop up here to Adele, and I'm going to do the same thing. And hopefully these are fairly instantaneous. So after you assign all your licenses to your users, you're going to pop over here into the Teams admin portal. And the Teams admin portal is where all the fun stuff happens. So once we go over here, we're going to be, the first step we're going to do is we're going to actually have to create what's called an emergency address, because Microsoft Teams phone system is E911 compliant and dynamic E911 compliant. So we can go all the way down to your switch port, or we can just configure a general emergency address. And just for this, I'm going to show you how the emergency addresses are. So you'll create these locations. And these are going to be your phone numbers that are under it, whatever networks you have configured under it, if you have Wi-Fi access points, switches, and ports. So this gives you the ability to drill down from just the main building to have the emergency location dynamically set the floor that they're on, the desk that they're at, and assign policies to those users. So if a security guard needs to be notified, all kinds of different pieces. And we actually have a lot of documentation on how to set these up that we can send out to you if you're interested in doing a demo of a lot of those also. So since we already have these emergency locations set up here, and I already have a local subnet set up for them, what I can do is I can pop right down here into voice. And under voice, the first thing we're going to want to do is get some phone numbers. So I am going to make a sample order here. I'm going to select United States. The phone number type is going to be a user phone number. And we're going to come down here in a little bit, and I'm going to show you what these other ones are also. So I'm going to grab 2. I'm going to search through here. And since our sample company here is in Redmond, search for the sample company, assign that emergency location. No, we don't have any phone numbers there. So actually, let's see. Where do we want to search for? Let's search for 714. Well, we already have a couple of phone numbers. Looks like we're having a couple of problems here with phone numbers, but this is the system you'll go through, and you're going to get phone numbers through here. If you do have problems with this, with these errors, ptn@microsoft.com, you can send an email to them, and they can get you phone numbers anywhere and get them into your tenant as soon as possible. And once we get our phone numbers, we're going to see these user numbers here are unassigned. And we can do two things. We can either pop into here, we can edit it and search for the user. And I can assign that number to Deborah, and it already has the emergency location. And on the other side of it, after this one gets assigned, what we can do is look at the users. We'll go to Adele, go under her voice tab, and we can set different policies in here too for her. So under her account, we have audio. Oh, okay. So her license has not been assigned yet. So this is one thing that you'll see. If when you're assigning these licenses to users, it may take 10 to 20 minutes for all the phone pieces to pop into here. Let me just go double check, make sure Adele's license did apply. Yep, calling plan is there. So we'll just go down into phone numbers and we'll assign it from here. If Adele's license finally replicated. Yep, so it's partially replicated. We'll assign it here. And now what we can do is we can go back to Deborah's profile here. And right now, since this was opened up before that Deborah had a calling plan, when you go to make a call, it's just going to show you all your users here. What we're going to do instead of waiting is I'm going to exit the Teams client and reopen it. The Teams client here now says dial a number. So when you dial this, now you have the ability with that user to make a PSTN call. And that's seriously all there is to setting up your proof of concept and setting up a simple solution for this one. So now that we have this running, we can get into a few more fun features. So we have the ability to do auto attendance and call queues. And these are also really simple. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new call queue. But what I want to do first is create a couple of resource accounts for those. So I'm going to do Q1, CQ1. Make this a call queue. And I'm going to make one for the auto attendant. Now that we have these two resource accounts, the auto attendant, I'm going to want to assign a phone number to it. I'm going to go back here to phone numbers. I'm going to go get a new phone number for this one. Phone number type here. We're going to want auto attendant toll. We're going to go want to grab a phone number from Redmond. Of course, Redmond still is out of phone numbers. Let's do Detroit just for fun.
Getting homesick, Alan?
A little bit, maybe. I don't miss the snow. I absolutely don't miss the snow. So we're going to grab this one here from Detroit. We're going to place the order, and this 313 number is going to be assigned into my tenant. Finish that one up, and now we're going to see this phone number here is available, and it's unassigned. So what I'm going to go, but now, as I'm going to go back to the admin center, and I'm going to look for that auto attendant account, because this needs a free license attached to it to be able to support a phone number. That's called our phone system virtual user license. I'm going to assign that, save it, and now this one is going to be able to hold a phone number. It's probably going to take us a couple minutes before I can actually assign that phone number while that license replicates, but I'm going to try it anyway. Assign. Online. Okay, that's going to take a couple minutes. So while we're waiting for that license to replicate and give us the ability to assign a phone number to it, I'm going to go ahead and start with the call queues. So the creating call queues and auto attendants is a bit of a chicken and the egg. The call queues you're going to want to create first, because that's in Microsoft tradition. We do the same things as a lot of other systems do, but we just name it different. So our call queues are going to be your call distribution groups or your ring groups. And this is where your auto attendants are going to send calls to. So we're going to want to build these first. So let's call this one. Just call Q1 just to be easy. We're going to add our resource account to that. Add it. And now it's going to be routable. We don't want to assign any kind of caller ID on this because we are not going to be having any outbound calls going out of this one. We'll set this one to English. Oop, no, doesn't need a British accent. There we go. Greeting, we'll leave no greeting on here. We'll leave the default music on hold. And what we can do is if you have Teams channels that say your support team or anybody in your organization belong to, we can put call queues directly to these teams. So you can just hit here and search for your channels, add them to a channel. But what we're going to do is I'm going to add individual users to this one. So I add Adele. And I'm going to add Deborah. And once I add that, now Adele and Deborah are both available. I'm going to leave that on. I'm going to set it to attendant routing, because what attendant routing is going to do is ring everybody at the same time. And it's going to give you different options too. So you can do attendant serial, which is going to be everybody, but in alphabetical order, one at a time. Round robin is going to be basically the same as serial, but it's going to leave off. It's going to start not at the beginning of the alphabet, but it's going to leave off or start at the next caller who hasn't got one. And longest idle is going to ring the people who have not taken the call the longest. We have the ability to add presence-based routing. So if you're on a call or you're busy in a meeting or you're just away, your phone's not going to ring and it's going to skip to the next agent. We can give the agents the ability to opt out of specific call queues if they want to, right in their Teams client. If you don't want them to be able to do that, you can turn it off. But for this demo, I'm going to leave it on. Set your agent alert time. You can have your overflow handling. You can have timeout handling. So if people are on hold for too long, we can hang up on them or redirect them to other parts of your phone system in the cloud. We're just going to leave this on disconnect for now and save it. And now let's create an auto attendant. We'll name, just for fun, we'll name it Auto Attendant 1. Very creative, I know, but it keeps it nice and easy. We're going to set no operator here. I'm going to set it for my Eastern time zone. Leave it in English, and we're going to leave voice inputs on. And I'll show you how those work in a little bit here. So the starting of the call flow. So we're going to play a greeting message. I'm just going to say, welcome to from the options. Play menu options. Or say support or support. I'm going to assign a dial key, 1. I'm going to set it to a voice application, which is going to be my call queue 1. And this voice command piece here is going to give the caller the ability to say what they want. And it's going to recognize their voice and take them to that specific piece. Our directory search, we can leave that off, or we can do dial by name or dial by extension. And these are scopable and configurable too, per auto attendant. So each and every auto attendant, you can scope who in the organization you can contact, not just everybody in the global address list. I'm going to leave these just all day long. But what you can do is you could take, say, your Sunday hours, you can make closed all day, and you can just have that. On Monday, you can have 12 to, let's do 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then you could have an hour to 2 p.m., not 2 a.m. 5:30 p.m. So then you have an hour here, which you could have after hours call flow for. So we'll leave that going right there. So after hours call flow, let's say add a greeting, we're closed, goodbye. And then you can either disconnect them, redirect the call to say a external phone number. So if you have an IT staff with an on-call person, you can use an on-call setup. You can have another call queue or another auto attendant that it goes to, or a specific person in your organization that handles all your after hours. Or if you want an after hours voicemail box, you could set it up in an Office 365 group and have multiple people monitor different voicemail boxes for you. For these ones, we're just going to disconnect. You can add different holidays. If you have any holidays in here, I can set up Christmas. It's Christmas, go away.
Bah humbug.
I'm going to use that one right there to name it.
So, get a chance. Can you do, like, it's a lot to unpack. So can you, like, do a recap when you get to the right spot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, since it's recorded, I'm going to rip through it pretty quick so everybody can not have to stare at me for too long, and we can get Yealink out in front of us too, and we can have a little bit of Q&A time at the end. So I'm going to do next, dial scope. This is where you're going to set up your groups for your dial by name or dial by extension and searchability. Let's add our resource account, which was AA1. And we'll submit. And now we have this auto attendant. And now that these licenses should have provisioned, I'm going to go down here, assign that 313 phone number to it. Online. There we go. Add, save. And now we have a fully functional auto attendant with agents in it. So if I go back here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial this phone number on my cell phone. And hopefully the noise canceling that we have doesn't completely eliminate what you can hear. 379-6186. I'm going to put it on speaker here.
Toso, please select from the following options. Press 1 or say support for support.
Support. Yes.
Say yes or no.
Now it's going to put the caller on hold. And now you can see in the toast here, it's going to show it's coming from a call queue and who the caller ID of the user is. So if I pick up here, now we have a fully functional call queue. And just for fun, what we can also do is in the Teams client, with or without this, say if I wanted to jump in here And I'm just going to show off one of the Yealink phones that we have. So I'm going to accept this call. And I'm going to mute it. Just so we don't get a bunch of feedback. But what I can do, this is a Yealink VP59, so it actually has a camera on it. So we can have a little bit of a call here with Boba Fett. So if you if you do want the ability for users not to just have conference calls and regular phone calls on their computer, you can have external devices. So you can have headsets, you can have desk phones, desk video phones. We have Teams room systems just for controlling your entire conference room. So what I'm going to do now is let's hold the questions off for a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to kick it over to the Yealink team so they can start talking about the devices that you can use in the middle of your proof of concept.
Yeah, thanks, Alan, and thanks, Tony, for letting us join today. Let me just share. Where are we going with sharing? Oh, there we go. Okay, so my name is Jonathan Sides, and I'm the sales director for the Eastern region of the United States for Yealink. My counterpart in Atlanta is Bill Newman, and he's a technical resource that can help you with your POCs. We're going to just spend a little time. What I did today, because I knew that we might have a little time constraint here, I sent Alan a PDF file that has all the slides that we're going to talk about here in the presentation. So we're just going to do a general overview of what we have available to you in terms of devices that you may or may not want to use in your POC. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about how what the process is in terms of getting those to you. But again, if you're not familiar with Yealink, Yealink has had a manufacturer's device relationship with Microsoft since 2014. We were the first device manufacturer that had voice phones available for Teams certified devices, as well as the first ones to provide MTRs for Androids. And as Alan was nice enough to show in his demo, we also had the first phone that had video capabilities as well, which is the VP59. So I'm not going to go through a lot of the overview in terms of what we bring to the table from this opening slide. And what I wanted to do is basically jump right into what we have available for you right now in the portfolio. And as Alan mentioned, we have what we consider to be 3 different pillars that we support. We have what we consider to be the widest range of variety in terms of Teams certified devices. So again, if you want to go from having just a USB connected phone to your Microsoft client, we have that on the lower end with the MP50, and it goes all the way up to the far end, which includes the VP59 with the video capabilities and a conference room device. So again, based on your use cases or what you're trying to bring in terms of supporting individual units or devices for a particular user in your demo or your POC, again, we have what we'd consider to be the widest variety of voice components as well. We also have a full line of MTRs for Windows, as well as MTRs for Androids. Alan mentioned that a little bit in terms of if you wanted to start retrofitting your video rooms or your conference rooms to bring additional capabilities supported on Teams. We have the ability to going from the small end all the way up to the largest end, which in our case is another first, where we have a room system that will support multiple cameras. So again, you can have a training session or you can have a boardroom that encompasses about up to 9 cameras. And again, you can also support an operating system on Windows, one of these MTRs, or you can also use Android. And on the other side of that, we also have a line of USB peripherals that you can use, which include speakerphones and headsets and things like that. So again, from our perspective, what we like to do in terms of helping you support your POC is we take this slide here and we have a first baseline conversation that says, tell us what you're trying to accomplish, tell us where you want to go in the future and what you're planning for your deployment, and ultimately then we would work with your either existing resellers or SIs to provide those devices for you at no cost, or in some cases there would be some discounting associated with that. So again, from Yealink's perspective, we don't sell direct to organizations, so we're channel based. But again, what we can do is we can work to discern what exactly you're looking for. Just to highlight some of the new capabilities of the new devices that have been brought online. And for a data point, as far as we're concerned, the one thing that we're proud of this year was even through 2020, which involved COVID, we have brought 19 new SKUs, team certified SKUs to the market in the last year. So again, whether it be the USB on the low end, to a new common area phone in the middle, to again, the other MTR systems where we have updated mics and also cameras, we have the ability to basically give you what you need in order to be able to accomplish your goals within Teams. So again, we have the phones, and again, like I said, you're going to get a copy of this presentation if you want, and you have the ability to contact us after the fact. So again, just the range of headsets that we support on the DEX side now, again, we're not necessarily using Bluetooth on the headset line that we support. We're using DECT, which gives you a wider range of capabilities. And we also have USB hubs built into some of our workstations as well. Okay, as far as one of the other things we wanted to talk about a little bit was the Microsoft Teams Room solutions, which is what was also on the previous slide, the pillar slide. But again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to balance the capabilities of providing you with kits that are pretty easy to deploy, as well as also providing a number of peripherals that allow you to accessorize your room if it has a little bit of a different design or capabilities that you're looking for. You could have dividers down the middle of the room at certain points in time. You may be talking about a larger room, which you already have built-in DSP audio capabilities. We can integrate with that as well. Again, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to make sure that we're supporting what we consider to be most or 90% of the options that you would be looking for within your environment. As far as the Teams rooms are concerned, one of the things we did do with our latest release is we've added the ability to support new hardware, which includes mics and speakers. One of those is the M-Speech, which is the first AI powered mic that we provide on one of our platforms. So again, we have the ability to start with a kit, modify that to add additional capabilities, whether it be using PoE and Cat5 switches on premise to set up your rooms. Again, we have some additional capabilities that we consider to be just discerning in terms of what we can provide across the board. Okay. Again, there are options where you may or may not have to support other platforms as well. Sorry, Alan, but we have to bring this out at least at some point. Again, we have the ability to allow you to use BYOD types of solutions, which allow you to just bring a Teams laptop into the room, and then you have all the components that you need to be able to run your meeting. And again, it's based on what you're trying to do in terms of providing flexibility to your back to office employees. If you're like anybody else right now, you're already in the throes of trying to figure out what you're going to support as you move back to the office. And again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you the option to be able to support as many different scenarios as you can. And what I'd like to do is Bill, you're there, right? So could you just give a brief overview of the new item that you have on the wall behind you?
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. This is the new Microsoft Teams Room panel. It's a scheduling panel in every sense of the word. I think we've all seen these mounted outside of meeting rooms for many years. This particular new product is Teams certified. It connects to the same Exchange account that the room system connects to, so it will always remain in synchronization with the team's calendar for that particular space. That Microsoft has also spec'd the requirement to have additional hardware built into it, such as microphones and speakers and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. All of this is really built into it in order to support the diamond here, and that is the ability, if you have any developers, if you wanted to develop your own custom application. For example, maybe you want a panic button on every panel. You could have one of your developers, if you have any, build you a panic button application. And that panel could run that third-party app in addition to all the other scheduling activities. And that's just one example. Could be fire escape plans. It could be press the button and reach a receptionist. Any number of different applications. But the idea here is that we have the additional accessories built in to process audio, both in and out, and the reserve processing and storage to support a third-party app loaded on the panel itself. So this allows us to put the final piece in place to what you would normally see in a very high-end multi-vendor integrated solution. So one of the points I think that's a key takeaway here is Jonathan is right, is the team's room systems are built around a turnkey kit. The whole industry is. And that's fine, and it tends to engender a good enough standard. But as Jonathan mentioned, there are times and there are spaces where we need to do a little better than good enough, in which case we offer you the accessories to tailor the audio and video performance to the space without necessarily having to be a video engineer or an audio engineer or a control system engineer, because they're all native Teams devices certified by Microsoft and remain very much in the plug and play realm. It doesn't usually get any more complicated than username password. So we don't always have to bring in a highly skilled third-party AV data integrator in order to really provide an extremely high-level experience within our various spaces. The other thing I would mention is that you notice we have a lot of different types of phones. We have a lot of different types of headsets. And the idea here is to be able to mold the equipment around your existing user preferences and your existing user workflows. The worst thing we can hear these days is that you've had to change the way you prefer to do things because of a new piece of technology. Here, the technology comes in many form factors and many performance levels to support your individual personas and the preferences that each persona has. Jonathan?
Yeah, and so to wrap it up in terms of what we like to provide to you in terms of support for your POC is we'll give you some dedicated engineering resources associated with that. Much to what Bill talked about in terms of the room design is based on what he mentioned, the kits. But again, we have the ability to help you in terms of putting together a solution that's based on your room size and shape. So again, from our perspective, in terms of going through the process of getting you up to speed in terms of what you're looking for in terms of Teams devices, as well as having regularly set up meetings when you're working through your POC, as well as if you have boxes of devices shipped to you, we'll set up a meeting in order to be able to help you with your first step in terms of getting that equipment up and running. Now, when it comes to moving forward, what we also like to be able to describe for you is the fact that we do have a device management platform that works in conjunction with the solutions provided by Microsoft. So whether it be an on-premise deployment of a device management system that we provide or a cloud-based system that we provide, you would have the ability to manage any of the Yealink branded devices that you put in play for your deployments through this management platform system. So again, there's a fully rounded portfolio of all the solutions that we think and devices that you think you'd need in order to be able to move forward with your Teams deployment, as well as the supporting infrastructure to help you on the back end. And what you do now is you do have our Bill and my information that you can always get in touch with us in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, and we can help you out there, as well as we can also provide you with counterparts and other, whether you be regions of the country or, you know, whether you're on the West Coast or the East Coast. In this case, you're probably more East. But again, if you have the ability to need to talk to somebody at Yealink for support, as well as on the sales side as well as support, we can give you the right information in order to be able to accomplish that. Okay, just a quick overview in terms of what Yealink is, who Yealink is, and what we can bring to the table for you. And back to Alan. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. It was great having you on here, and really good to see all the new stuff that you guys have coming out. We have that portfolio. We can't pop it in the chat here, but I'll have Tony attach it to some follow-up emails on here, so everybody has access to that also.
Hey,
So
Alan, can I ask a stupid question before we depart?
Absolutely, if you want a stupid answer.
You were going over the licensing requirement for dialing, where you needed the 365 phone system and you needed a dialing plan. If, for example, I'm a user within one of these tenants and I do not have dialing and I do not have a phone system license, can I still receive calls from the auto attendant at my phone or my client? And can I maybe receive calls from the queue if I'm not a licensed telephony user, but yet I could still sign into a phone?
So yes and no. If you are not licensed on phone system, you cannot. But if you are licensed with phone system and you do not have a calling plan, you can still be a member of a call queue, and you can receive calls from that call queue in the auto attendant.
Fantastic.
Yep. The only limitation that you get on that is you're not going to be able to call anybody back via PSTN.
Right. Which we did touch on direct routing in this webinar.
Yep. Direct routing. If anybody has the need to integrate with a phone system that they already have, or if they already have a provider that gives them SIP trunking, PRI trunking, and they want to keep that provider, get in touch with Tony and I. What we can do is run you through what's called Teams Direct Routing, which is a session border controller, either based in the cloud or a piece of hardware, where we can interact with your SIP trunks that you have, your current on-premise PBX, analog devices, you name it. So if you have announcement systems, you have elevator phones, parking lot phones, we can plug into those using a whole set of different partners and a whole slew of different devices that we have available through our partners.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay,
so I guess, go ahead, Tony. Sorry, I didn't want to step on you.
We're probably going down the same path, Alan. So there aren't any questions in the Q&A window. So to the audience, if you do have any questions, feel free to either take yourselves off mute or ask questions in the chat window. We're more than happy to answer your questions.
I guess we did such a good job. We don't have any questions.
I have a question that's not related to the phone system.
All right.
It's when I came on, you were sharing your screen and you were in front of your screen share.
See? She liked that.
I did like that. Is that a thing? How did you do that?
So we get all the new features before they get sent out here. So I'll kind of give you an example. It's called Standout Mode under presenter modes here. Actually, I'll share my screen. I'll show you how it looks on our Teams client here. So this is coming to GCC. I believe it's coming out really soon. Actually, it's not going to let me share the screen, but under your sharing options, it's going to have a standout mode. But yeah, that's going to be part of the webinar and presentation options coming in Teams for GCC and commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Just like what I can do is I can do it reporter style. So when I go here now to share my screen, of course, it's not going to do it for me, is it?
Beta is such a fun toy, is it not?
It absolutely is. So let's go back here. Let's just do it in standout mode. And then I'll select my screen. There we go. So yeah, standout mode works. This is why they're not released to the public yet, because they don't all work perfectly. But yeah, this is some of the upcoming features. And if you're just using your Teams meetings, this isn't an additional purchase. It's just going to be included in your licensing as part of our evergreen model.
Thanks, Alan.
Yep.
I thought of a question. So for the proof of concept, it's so we pretty much provision new numbers to the people in the POC. What if they want to have the number forwarded to their phone? How would they accomplish that?
So what they'll so if you want to just kind of use it in production without porting your phone number into our service or setting up a direct routing, what you can do is just set up call forwarding in your either contact your telephony people, have them set up a call forwarding in the phone system. You can do call forwarding directly on your desk phone that you currently have. Set up call forwarding. What we've seen people do is contact their current provider and have their provider do a call forwarding from, say, their main phone number to whatever new phone number you set up in our Teams admin center also. So all phones go through the Teams admin center now. And when you do it at the provider level, it takes out probably 80 to 100 milliseconds of delay, which would be going from your provider to your phone system, back to your provider to Microsoft. So it kind of pulls that loop out. But as you start setting up your POC, Tony and I are here to help you engineer all that stuff and make sure that everything works good for you.
Is there a way to temporarily disable PTSN? Like if you wanted to kind of go on a do not disturb where you're still allowing internal Teams calls from your employee, your coworkers and stuff, but you're not taking PTSN calls. Is that currently an option?
You'll always get the calls coming in, but you can set here. I'll show you right in my demo Teams client here. So we have all kinds of calling settings in here. Let's go into Deborah's settings here. So what you can do is go into calls. You can say call ring me or forward all my calls to voicemail. So you won't get any notifications. It's not going to ring, but you'll still get the voicemails and your calls will still come in. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes. So it doesn't treat a Teams, like my coworker calling me on Teams separately from a outside PTSN call. It's all or nothing, it looks like, which is fine.
This is going to recognize PSTN calls.
Oh, okay.
So peer-to-peer calls are the same. They're categorized just like a chat and just like a video call. This is going to be for your PSTN.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
So the Teams client does have the capability of differentiating between different types of calls.
Okay. Yeah, we set up a pilot number, and I got my first spam call about yesterday, but it'd been a couple months, so that's pretty darn good.
Yep. So one great thing what we're doing in the background, I think we're supposed to be releasing it later this year. We are currently with our phone system and our providers with our networks. We are joining a spam call database. So it's going to either tag things, or you can just say don't even allow these calls through. So we're going to have spam filtering built into the platform here coming up this year.
Cool. That's exciting. Anything kind of on the roadmap for late 2021 that's public knowledge but might be coming, big features or anything?
Nothing I can discuss on a recorded call that's going on to YouTube, but we do have an Nda roadmap. If you want to set up one-on-one calls with Tony and I, we can kind of go over this year's roadmap with you.
Cool.
But yeah, they're under NDA, and if you have a contract with us, you have NDA.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. So there is one thing I didn't go over here too. So as you're starting to deploy and you're running into call quality issues, what you can do is say, let's pick on Alan DeYoung, because I know I had a call from him earlier. You can go into your users, check out the user's call history, drop into each and every call, and you're going to get reporting on each and every call and the device that they're on, the system that they're on, the connectivity type, and the network conditions. So I can see Alex was sitting on a Yealink T55, and Alan here was sitting on an Android 9 device, which was, a Poly CCX 500.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both connected via Ethernet, and their network time, because they're on the same network, it hands it off. It doesn't have to go through the whole cloud loop. Was really good. No packet loss, no actual real jitter that was going on. Everything was fantastic with this one. You can do advanced reporting on these too, which will give you all kinds of say, hey, let's see if it was too quiet, was there weird stuff going on? It gives you all the details right here on every single call that comes in and out of your system. You can even go as far as setting up your call quality dashboard. Of course, it's not going to want to load for me. It looks like it doesn't want to show it to me. Oh, that's a fun render today. But the call quality dashboard is going to kind of give you a high level view of everything that's going on in your organization. You can set it up to display per network, per building, who is out of the network. It'll show you what kind of call drop statistics you have, jitter, lag, or all kinds of different network issues. And you can even set the reports up to let you know if a certain area is having problems. Or we can go through our analytics and reports, drop into usage reports. Let's look in the last 28 days and see all the calls that were going on in our network. So that one call that I made to Auto Attendant 1 is in here. Oh, it's going to just drop me into that. We have about a 15-minute delay for bringing these in right now. That is one thing that is on the roadmap, is that 15-minute delay between when the call happened and when it displays in here is going away. It's going to be real time. So if we check out another one of Alan's calls here, it'll bring me into his, where their emergency address is, all their voice policies. So if you did have delegation, which a lot of people do need, you can either set up a call delegation in the user settings, manage delegates, people you support, and Adele is a delegate for Deborah here. Or if you want to take that ability away, you could set a policy where they can't set their delegates up. You can come in the Teams admin portal and add delegates for them. So it gives you a lot of granular configuration issues per user.
I noticed the word SMS on those reports, so gives me some hope that might be added later.
They keep talking about it, but because in the GCC, there is a lot of tracking that's required, and SMS is a very unloggable resource. So right now we have SMS capabilities built into Azure. So if you needed SMS bots, SMS booking, things like that, we have those capabilities. We have some partners that have built SMS plugins for Teams. So if you wanted to use SMS for messaging right from your Teams client, you can, but we do not have that out of the box right now. But that's one of the things. It's not on the roadmap, but it's in talks. So I can't promise if that's going to be here or not, but we're talking about it.
Hey, Alan.
Hey.
I had two questions. One deals with notifications. Can you actually, to all employees within your directory, can you send mass messages like inclement weather, what have you? Is that possible?
So we don't send mass messages. You can have teams or groups for that. Okay. So if you have like an all company team, you'll pop it into the all company team chat.
Gotcha.
And if you needed to talk to everybody, you could make a call on that also.
Okay. The other question I had just revolves around our setup. Is there anything to take into consideration if you have employees that are in different countries?
Yes, so you can get phone numbers in different countries. You can set emergency locations up in different countries. We do have calling plans that work for international and for different accounts or different, if you have separate tenants or if they're all on the same tenant, you can go into phone numbers. And if you have an emergency location that's outside of the United States, you can grab phone numbers. And I believe it's over 90 countries now.
Thanks.
We own CLECs all over the world. So yeah, we do have the ability to grab numbers in there. And on top of that, if you do have people, say if you're hosting a meeting, let's go into our meetings. So under our conference bridges, oh, I don't have any. Oh, there they are. So out of the box, you get dial-in phone numbers from all over the world. So if you have a meeting ID that somebody's dialing into, in that meeting request, there's going to be a link that's going to show all these different dial-in numbers for people all over the world if they didn't want to bring in or use their Teams client. But you could also grab phone numbers in these countries. So there could be local phone numbers or phone numbers in other countries too, and bring those into your meetings also. So if they're out of the country and they're booking meetings in their own country, you could set up a conference bridge for that individual location. That'll give them a, say, one in Bulgaria or one in Greece.
Nice. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else right now? Bueller?
Looks like that's no. So thank you, Alan. Thank you, Yealink. Appreciate the information today. Thank you to the audience for joining and asking some great questions. This will be posted to our YouTube channel, SLG Modern Workplace, so within the next week. So have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.